I pulled the exhaust system out of my Gulf country some time ago. Because of how rusty everything was, I couldn't separate this joint. Instead, I cut off this portion of pipe, which actually belongs over here. I intended to replace all of the exhaust components with new OEM parts, but they turned out to be too rare and expensive on this side of the Atlantic. Instead of fabricating a custom exhaust system, I decided to restore the parts that I have, since they're still in serviceable condition. First, I sandblasted the parts that would fit inside my cabinet. Then I used various tools to remove the remaining rust. I welded the pipe back on that I had cut off when I removed the exhaust from the car. After wiping down the bare metal with wax and grease remover, I sprayed the parts with 2 to 3 coats of VHT primer. Then, for a base coat, I used VHT flat aluminum paint. I finished painting the catalytic converter with the VHT exhaust paint. So now I'm getting it ready to go back on the car. I'm going to pull this plug out. And you may have noticed these booger welds on here. I don't know why these are here. They don't look factory to me. I'm guessing somebody at some point spliced together the down pipes from one car and the cat from another car. I don't know. But I just want to point out that those are not my welds. So the next thing that I want to put on is this, I guess it's like an anti-rattle bracket. This heat shield doesn't really move, but from the factory it had a bracket. Now there were two of these. This bit of rust that has the remnants of a bolt sticking through it was on the underside, and this other piece was on this upper side. So I just cut out a small piece of scrap steel and splatter welded a nut on one side. So that's going to replace this rusty piece on the bottom side. And then the bolt I'm replacing with this machine screw. So let's see how it all goes together. I'm going to slide that little bracket up into place. I'll probably have to steer it. Oh, not bad. That's right where I want it. I'm just using this old scrap washer on here. Thread this plate at the bottom. See on the back side. Then I thought for extra protection, I'll throw on this nylon insert lock nut. That's it. There. And then this exhaust gasket, I'm just going to show you where it sits. It'll end up here, but this will be installed on the car first. We'll put it on the exhaust manifold. I thought I'd also show you these exhaust installation clamps. Now, these are going to sit like so on the car. And the top halves of these clamps will be hooked over a lip on the manifold. And these guys don't like to open up much. It's very difficult to get them on without a special tool. I don't have the special tool, but I'll show you a trick for getting them on. So I got here a typical auto parts store exhaust clamp. This is a 1 3/4 inch. All you got to do is take it apart, pull out the saddle, put the nuts on, and scoot them down all the way to the bottom. Then put the saddle on upside down like that. And you can loop this inside and then start loosening the nuts so that they're moving towards the ends of the U-clamp. And they'll push that saddle up. Try to make sure everything's straight and even. And then take your 1/2 inch or 13mm wrench and take turns turning the nuts so they stay equal. Yeah, that's a pretty solid 1/2 inch gain right there, at least. We'll do both of them that way. Looks pretty good. Here we are under the car. There's the exhaust manifold that we're aiming for. I've got a couple of ratchet straps under here that I'm going to use to help support that catalytic converter while I get it up into place and get those clamps on. The first thing I'm going to do is stick this O-ring gasket on. It's close. Yeah, I'm finding some spots on here that are hanging me up, so I'm going to use a file and just clean this up slightly. I'm just taking this fine file and going around the edge and knocking off some bits that are sticking out so I have a smooth surface. Let's see. Feels about the same all the way around. All right, let's get that exhaust. I don't even know if this is gonna work. I didn't test this. My little ratchet strap idea. Let's see what's gonna happen. There it is. Close to where it needs to be. I'm going to try to do this without blocking the camera, which means I'm going to do it in kind of a weird way. I can't come in from over the top, I don't think, can I? I'm doing this blind. I can't really see what I'm doing. Feels like that's on there. This one I can hook on top first. And then push the bottom. I think I gotta sit this other clamp differently. There we go. I should be able to move this one just enough. Drop that clamp into place. Hard to tell, but I got a big screwdriver running across back there against the engine to keep that clamp from swinging around a whole bunch on me. And the camera and the lamp are where I would normally be reaching up. So I'm going to try to do this in an unnatural way. But the basic idea here is we're just gonna loosen up the muffler clamp without it coming off. My screwdriver move on me. I got that screwdriver jammed in there. I think I'm still seated okay. And I'm only doing this one side, as you can see, because the other one I just can't reach. And I'm hoping that I can get enough distance from this one side of the U-clamp to loosen it out this way. There is the other option of cutting it. If you don't want to save the U-clamp, you can just cut it off. get the other side on. Ooh, drop off that side. Oh, she's coming apart. That works. I think I'm gonna just put the screwdriver sort of like so. So now I just got to convince this muffler clamp to come loose. Doesn't like being crooked. And that saddle, now that the U-clamp is out, well, that's a good deal. I'm going to give it a little help. Alright, feels like we're seated right. That's it, that's how that joint works. So there we are so far, catalytic converter. And then next, we'll put on the extension pipe and muffler. Here's the extension pipe and muffler setup. Let's start at this end. This is the end towards the back of the car. It connects to the resonator. And then I bought a new rubber hanger. The old one was not in the best of shape and it stretched out quite a bit. So we'll put this on the car and then connect the muffler to it. And then this end connects to the catalytic converter that we just put in using this sleeve. I cleaned it up and I bought new hardware for it. So we'll use that to go put this on the car. Okay. So let's put the rubber guy on. So we'll see how easy and or hard it is. All right, the muffler's hooked. And it seems to be aiming in about the right direction. So the next is to splice these guys together. I'm tempted to mark the pipes. I'm gonna do that. So here's my thinking. I want to know when each of these pipes is halfway into the fitting. So I want to mark what would be roughly the halfway point. Unless you can slide way on far enough. Oh yeah, that's good. So the cat and the extension pipe are touching. That's good. But I don't know that I want to commit this thing yet until I get the resonator hooked up. So let's wait on tightening this down until we get that done. And finally, here's the resonator. This end connects to the muffler that we just installed. And this is the tailpipe that exits the back of the car. About the only thing there is to say about this is I bought new rubber donuts for hanging the muffler because the old ones were shot, they were broken. And then this clamp, it's a 54.5mm clamp. It will attach this connection to the muffler. So let's go do that. Ah, but I forgot, I don't have a heat shield for up here. Gonna have to do something about that. Well, I couldn't find the right heat shield for my car. But this heat shield fell off my daughter's 2008 Prius. Maybe we can make it work. This one's original. All right. As you can see, I pre-installed the clamp on here. I'll just slide it up on the muffler. And we gotta get this little donut on there. All right, that'll hold it temporarily. I got these two hangers to attach up here. And the one that's farther away from you looks like it's harder. So I think I'll attack it first. I'm gonna have to get a tool. I'm gonna use this brake adjuster tool, kind of like a shoehorn, and try to pry the little rubber guy over it. Get on there. All right. Well, that wasn't pretty, but it worked. All right. There we go. Now I got to get a different brake tool. So I'm going to use this brake tool because it has this end on it, which is really intended for moving springs up over, hooks and that sort of thing. But it'll work just as well on this rubber hanger. I'm going to hook it on the muffler first, and then try to get it hooked on the car. All right, piece of cake. On this alignment. But for now, I'm going to cinch these down. It's not touching. It seems like it's supposed to sit more like that. Just barely clears the underside of the car. I'll do my final cinching down here. Oh, that's pretty tight actually. Now all I gotta do is tighten down this clamp. Oh yeah, that's better. There we go. Yeah, there's daylight between there. All right, so let's review. We've got our Resonator with our homemade heat shield on it. And it connects to the muffler, which has its original heat shield, extension pipe, catalytic converter, and its attachment to the manifold. I think that's looking pretty darn good. Now I can put the drive shaft in.